So, Heather Crane's going to run this meeting. My name's Brandon Brown with the parish right here, Randy Labs. Heather's going to read basically a synopsis of the grant. And if you have any questions afterwards, just raise your hand and answer questions. Try to limit it to about an hour if you can. Appreciate it. Say again? Got it?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Heather Crane. I'm the grant manager for the Livingston Parish Government, and this is a citizen participation meeting for one of our HUD grants called the Resilient Communities Infrastructure Program Grant. This is a requirement from the state that we have these meetings to discuss this grant funding and open it up to comment to see what projects you would like to see spent with this money. As Brandon said, there's the sign-in sheet. I also have copies of the summary here and a business card. You will have until January 30th to submit any other comments to me via, you could call me, you can email me, but this public comment period will be open until January 30th at 5 p.m. There's also some other members of Mr. Randy's team here. Brandon, I know you didn't want me to introduce you, Mr. McKee, but in case y'all have any questions for them, they are here too. And also Miss Marie Sturban, who was head of the transition committee for the animal shelter. Yes. So what I would like to do to start things off is just read through this summary. I apologize, but I don't want to miss any of the high points of the grant. And then after I do that, we'll open it up for discussion, questions, comments, and so on and so forth. All right. So the Livingston Parish Government received federal disaster recovery funding for infrastructure and economic revitalization efforts. The allocations were made as a result of the parishes impacted by the 2020 and 2021 disasters, including Hurricane Ida and the May 2021 severe storms. The funds being allocated to Livingston Parish are $4,964,389.26. And again, the name of the grant is the Resilient Communities Infrastructure Program, or RCIP. The RCIP program aims to reduce risk and reliance on federal recovery funds by supporting more resilient community infrastructure and to assist impacted communities in recovering from the damage inflicted by Hurricane Ida and the May 2021 severe storms. The parish has an executed cooperative endeavor agreement with the State of Louisiana Office of Community Development, OCD, and is now in the process of developing a recovery proposal or application to OCD, detailing how we will use the funding. CDBG funds must meet one of the 3 national objectives as identified by the U.S. Housing and Urban Development, HUD. The 3 national objectives are benefit low and moderate income persons, aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight, and meet a need having a particular urgency referred to as urgent need. Under the program, only those projects meeting the LMI, low to moderate income persons, objective will be considered for funding. The LMI national objective may be met by the bullet points I have listed there. The first, when at least 51% of the beneficiaries of an activity are LMI persons, by benefiting a clientele that is generally presumed to be principally LMI, such as elderly persons or disabled adults, with activities that are undertaken for the purpose of providing or improving permanent residential structures upon completion will be occupied by LMI occupants. And lastly, with job creation and retention, LMI benefit national objective addresses activities designed to create or retain permanent jobs, at least 51% of which will be made available to or held by LMI persons. Although displacements of persons are not anticipated by the proposed project activities that we have, the parish will follow the Uniform Relocation Act to relocate any displaced persons. Okay. The parish has developed a list of priority projects and alternate projects that must be announced at this meeting, and they are as follows. We have 2 priority projects. Number 1 is the renovations and additions to the Livingston Parish Animal Shelter located in the town of Livingston. The second priority project is the Livingston Parish Master Drainage Plan. And then we have alternate projects, an indoor-outdoor arena, a warehouse for the storage of emergency commodities, and a parish-wide community center / safe room. There were also some projects that were mentioned at our first citizen participation meeting in June, and that was parish-wide drainage improvements. So it could be elevating a roadway, waterway debris removal, things like that. And there was also mentioned storm drain triage. So mapping, assessing, and cleaning storm drains. So that's it. That's all the high points that I wanted to say. Now we will turn it over to the citizens for any comments, questions, or concerns. And grant-related questions, if you have specific animal shelter questions about operations and management, we have Ms. Desiree Green here and some other staff members that might can answer those questions. Yes, ma'am. Okay, good question. So we have this meeting tonight. On the council agenda this Thursday, we have to submit a resolution giving Mr. Randy Delat authority to submit the application. That will happen Thursday. Proposals are due February 2nd. So we will submit everything to the state with the projects listed February 2nd, and then it takes them a few months to review, and then they'll give us the green light, hopefully, to do full applications. So you're looking at it could be several months before we actually see the projects approved and moving forward. Miss Angie went to go see if, you can use my microphone if you want.
My name is Darrell Scott. I live in 218 East Street, Denham Springs, Louisiana, in the West Livingston part of the parish. I'm deeply concerned. I just moved back here. I'm a retired military person. I just moved back to Denham Springs after being gone for quite some time. Thank you. It was an honor and a privilege. But my reason I'm here is because my community fits the LMI more than any other community, I think, in the parish. And my community is also probably one of the most neglected funded communities in the parish. We get 0.1% from the city and less than that from the parish. The streets in my community were paved in the sewage in 1964, and they hadn't been touched since. So when we're talking about infrastructure and fixing it and getting it right, an event center, it's a good thing, I guess, and a bunch of other things down here I see you got down here. But where I live at, we got a whole housing authority project that's been there for 7 years, and it should have been torn down, but it's still there. Okay, we got all kinds of things happening in my community, and like I said, I just moved back there from Atlanta out of being gone for quite some while. But I'm not used to living in a substandard community anymore. I grew up in it, but I don't mean I want to move back to it. And so when we're talking about almost $5 million being utilized in the parish, we want some of that money. We do, in that community. That's the West Livingston community. That's the community between Florida Boulevard and Edgewood South, Grange Avenue, and Peach Highway, east and west. Okay? Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Oh, we got that.
19866 LA Highway 42, Livingston, Louisiana. I live in a very rural area south of the interstate. There's a lot of need in our area. We have state highways a lot, but we have a lot of substandard roads. There's not a lot of funding because we don't have the tax base where we're at. My deal might not be as important to other people as it is to me and my family, but it's the animal control. Whenever you do everything in your power to fix your yard for your animals to not get out, and you wake up in the middle of the night and you have another animal crawl through your dog's doggy door, and they're fighting underneath your bed in the middle of the night. You ever got 2 cats involved in a fight underneath somebody's bed at 2 o'clock in the morning? And then there's fur, there's feces, there's blood flying everywhere. I have taken care of and rescued over 20 animals, well, 20 dogs, that's not including cats. I've found homes for them. I've even gone up to the animal shelter whenever it first started up many, many years ago. Greatly needed. I mean, to be able to go in your yard and not be able to know if you can walk your grandkids in your yard because there's somebody else's loose pit bull or Rottweiler or stuff like that that puts your life in danger or a child's life in danger. And it happens all the time. Or you have your own animal protecting you in your own yard that would not go out past the ditch because it was taught better. Dog come in my yard when we first adopted our son to come home. And our poodle was protecting me and our son. Somebody's dog came in the yard. I had a dog for 10 years. And he was trying to protect me and my son that just came home from Guatemala. And someone dodged the dogs to hunt the dog in the road and went in the ditch. And I had to watch my poodle get drugged down the road. Trying to protect me and my son. Those things shouldn't happen. Or you go down the road and you find little puppies down the road in boxes and bags or thrown over the side of a bridge. Those things, kids are important, animals important, this is all important. But the thing is, we do need things in our rural area. We kind of get left behind because we don't have the tax base like other parts of the parish have. So this is something that's definitely needed. I understand about the cat thing. It helps cut down on rodents and snakes and this, that, and the other. Whenever we have cats come up to our window and they're trying to pick a fight with our cat in our house through the window, it gets kind of scary, you know. But these are the little things that really add up. And I'm one of the person that's going to help with the cats and with the animals. Try to find a good home, do what I can with it. But then there's so many people that are just dumping them off on the side of the road and causing burdens. Or these animals are feral and they're hurting other people. It doesn't always get turned in because people would just go shoot them. Instead of doing that, give them a chance for somebody to be able to take them in and treat them right. And if not, then you let the parish take over and do what needs to be done. But I, for one, am saying that we need the animal control, and we do need infrastructure. We need a lot of things. But this is something that we've been promised for terms and years after years is the animal control, and it's definitely needed whole parish wide. It's not just for rural area, it's not just for the populated area, it is for every area of the parish. Thanks.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Or, sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Staff Sergeant Trout, retired. Like that gentleman over there, I did 20 years in the Army. Livingston Parish is my home. I was born here. I was raised here. I chose to come back here. I'm not here on my behalf. I'm the president of my HOA. We fight our own fight. We go through our own district. We do what we can to get funds allocated for our improvements. I'm here because of a dilemma. I'm here at my aunt's proxy. Her name is Joyce Rice. She lives on Cedar Ridge Court. I have been fighting this battle going on 5 years now. There is a failed drainage on Cedar Ridge Court, and every major storm that comes through there destroys what's left of Cedar Ridge Court. Due to that failed drainage, and I have worked with Mr. Gary Talbert on it. I am currently working with Mr. Brian Shavers, a few other individuals. Mr. Brian Clements has been instrumental in guiding me in this endeavor. She is a senior citizen. She's 69 years old. She has to park and walk through knee-deep water to get to her house with every rain. Gravity Drainage District 2 has looked at this 10 kind of ways till Sunday, and they have yet to find a solution. Most recently, there was LiDAR imaging taken, and the ground there is so unstable. There are literally 4 families fixing to lose their homes, like fall off the face of the planet. And they don't qualify for the elevation. FEMA funds were denied during the 2016 flood because everybody back there has homeowners insurance. And for those who don't know, homeowners does not cover land erosion. So I'm here to beg, borrow, besiege, plead with this council to appropriate some of these funds to either go back there and stabilize this and fix it, which that cost will probably far outweigh buying these 4 families out of their home and having them relocate somewhere else in Livingston Parish. So I will definitely reach out to you with the information I have and everything from Gravity Drainage 2 and see if we can't get these families taken care of. Thank you for your time.
Hey there, my name is Christine Thomasy, and I live at 26707 Jennifer Lane in Denham Springs. It's right between Denham Springs and Walker. And my issue is animal control, but before I get into that, I want to say that I do support all of the drainage issues that are being brought forward. I used to work for FEMA. I get it, and what a lot of folks don't know is if the drainage is not maintained, you can lose funds even after a disaster because FEMA will evaluate if the culverts and the drains have been maintained. The feds aren't going to give you money if you're not maintaining your own stuff. But that aside, Linnell Johnson asked me to speak on her behalf. She is the founder of Dog People of Livingston, which is a nonprofit that does animal rescue. And she just is running late today and she didn't want to miss her opportunity. Linnell has come to a lot of meetings and put forth some different proposals for animal control. It's not just about picking up animals. That's sort of the Band-Aid for the problem, but I'm really sorry that that happened to you in your home. There's a parish-wide lack of concern for backyard breeding, for folks with dogs on chains, for situations where animals are being treated cruelly, and for just rampant breeding. And in different efforts with different councils, I know the council's completely turned over in the last election except for just 1 or 2 folks. The efforts start and they stop, and usually it's because of lack of funding. So any sort of grants would be helpful, but Linnell has put forth other propositions, including several years ago, a simple one that would have involved adding a small fee to rabies vaccinations, a $5 fee. And we actually surveyed the different vets in the parish and came up with about 15,000 rabies vaccinations that take place every year. And you throw $5 at each of those and you come up with like over $77,000 in revenue. That could be used for another animal control, where's Desiree? Another animal control officer. It could be used for spay and neuter, which is what Linnell would like to see. She recently sponsored a clinic with other sponsors, and the private sector spayed and neutered almost 400 animals at this clinic. Now, you might say, well, that's great. The private sector's taking care of it. No, they're not. They're having to take time from their own family and children to go and do this. Veterinarians are volunteering their time when we should have systems in place that take care of this. And there is money. You have to find the money. You have to appropriate the money. And when it comes time for appropriating money, we need our council members and our leadership to advocate for it in the same way they need to advocate for money for drainage. So she wanted me to just basically present that one idea. She said she's been putting it forth at different meetings, but actually with some numbers. Now, look, I'm going to be specific. These numbers are several years old. These are from around 2018. So if there were, 15,000 rabies vaccinations in 2018, I would just imagine that there's more in 2024. It would just be a matter of doing another survey to see where the money is. But we also need council members to be specific about, okay, if we did put this forward, how would that money be handled? Who would handle it? And I understand that Linnell is on a committee to do that, and with Desiree, who knows probably the most about it and works the hardest in that area, that these kind of committees can work, they can go forward. But for the drainage folks, I get it. It floods at my house every time it rains too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Vicki Parrish. I live at 30645 Schroeder Road in Killian. In 2013, I was part of another committee that we had when we had a change of administrations, and I addressed the council at that time. I told them how we were playing catch up. I told them how much money we needed to get going. We did a survey of other parishes that are of comparable size, all the demographics, and I gave them a number, and you could have thought I let a bomb off when I told them how much we needed in order to have decent animal control. So here we are, 11 years later, and I'm hopeful that we can get things going. Now, as the founder and the director of Swampy Paws Canine Rescue, rescues have been doing the parish's job for years. We have picked up dog after dog after dog. We're tapped out and we're tired. We have no more foster homes. Hurricane Ida destroyed many of the fences that are required when you have a dog in your care, and insurance companies don't pay for that. So here we are. We have a lack of foster homes. We have a lack of education with some of the public. We need to do that. But most importantly, it is a community health issue when we have all of these animals running around, no vaccines. Some of them are aggressive, some aren't. But it is also a community problem, and we have to treat it that way. And it is not just the people who own dogs that are affected, it's the people who don't own dogs. And so everybody has to chip in to help with this. And we need the government's help because we have so many needs. We're playing catch up. We have 672 square miles in Livingston. Only 12 square miles have animal control. That's a disgrace for a parish our size and with our money and resources. So I'm asking all of you to please support animal control, support whatever you can do to help our council members address this issue, and give them your support. Tell them that a boy. And if they're not on board, tell them shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Rachel Boutwell. I live in South Point in Denham Springs, Louisiana. I'm also the animal control director of the City of Denham Springs Animal Control. Where I live outside the city limits of Denham Springs, I work inside the city limits of Denham Springs. So even as a director, I have no animal control for my area. One of the biggest things that we face as at the shelter, and I'm sure Desiree and Walker Shelter can agree with you, is I can tell you probably about 95% of our calls are people who live outside the city limits of Denham Springs or Walker or Livingston. They're nowhere. And we have to tell them, sorry, you can't help you. And that's everything. Most of our dogs, I can't prove it to beyond a reasonable doubt, but most of the cats and dogs that end up in the shelters are usually dumped inside the city limits from people who have what do I do with it? I just picked up this dog that was about to get hit by a car. Sorry, it's yours now. Can't, and then they get upset with us because it's like, all we can do is try to do this, try to do that. We'll be happy to courtesy post, but they're like, what do? I can't take this dog home with me. Well, if you put it back on the side of the road, guess what? Somebody sees you, you're going to get in trouble for animal cruelty for dumping an animal. So it's a lot, but we do work hard with other rescues. I know the rescues are overwhelmed and exhausted too. But I think if we need more animal control it's not just picking up stray animals. It's also helping out the little old lady that lives down the street that somebody dropped off a box of puppies at her house and she's barely able to feed herself. Those people need help as well. And it's not just about just the animals, it's helping the people. It's a community service for the people and the parish. So, and I think that's all I have to say about it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. We've got one lady coming up, and then if you want to wait in queue.
Good evening to everybody. My name is Ann Miniman. I live at 8835 Chickasaw Avenue, and it's a trailer park, and most of the community there is Hispanic speaking. So I'm here kind of in representation of them. A lot of them don't speak English, and we have a big dog situation. And as the lady before said, you can't even walk out of your property or in your property. They come into the property. And I'm with the Lauderdale Church, and we're actually working with somebody who came earlier the week, and she said to us, we want to use your space to neuter and spay animals for free. And we're willing to work with the government in the space that we have. But it is very difficult to be in that situation because not only are you dealing with a lot of crime, you're dealing with the fact that the children can't play outside because there's dogs who will come and attack, who will growl, who will bark. People walk down the streets with pepper spray because they can't even get to the Dollar General because there's animals, and I've called different places. No one can take them in because, as everybody has mentioned, there's a situation where we're outside of Denham Springs city limits, and we're in a black area, gray area, where I don't know where to find help. So I came here tonight hoping that I could find the resources, the help that we could get to deal with this situation because just earlier this week I counted 15 stray dogs and kind of like a herd running the streets. So it's something really out of control. The children can't play outside in peace because the animals will come and try to bark at them, or maybe just curious, but the children are afraid. So I'm here on behalf of those people there who really can't speak up for themselves, but because I'm able to, I'm here to speak up for them. So I hope that we can work with the city. The church is willing to help whatever needs to be done. The members there, community is willing to be helpful to the community. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name's Devonna Foster, and I live in Watson, Louisiana, and I am a rescuer, a kitten rescuer. I retired from banking after 33 years, 8 years ago, and I would say probably between then and now, I have probably rescued close to 800 kittens in Livingston Parish. Whenever you have a mama cat that has 6 kittens, that can add up really quick. We have a lot of feral colonies in Livingston Parish, and they're animals. They're doing what animals do. They're doing what God put them on this earth to do. But it's also our job and our responsibility to maintain those animals. It's not their fault that we let them down. And I do believe that the dogs and the cats that are feral, that are strays, that they've been let down by the people. And they can't speak for themselves. So I'm here to speak for them, the feral colonies, that a kitten can have kittens at 4 months old. And then about 2 months later, she's going to have another litter of kittens. And, we hear all the time, well, let's get the females fixed. We don't need to fix the males. Nope, you got to get the males fixed too. So I'm hoping that this will be something that can be used parish-wide. It's going to take a long time to get it under control because it's gotten so far out of control. But I am really hoping that this will help us to get the situation under control. A lot of people will feed animals, but that's all they do because they can't. How many times have I heard a little lady say, honey, I can't not feed them. I can't stand to see something starving. But if you don't take that one animal, that one cat, that female cat, and get her spayed, then you're not feeding that one cat anymore. You're now feeding 6 cats. And then in another month, you're feeding 12 cats. So I've helped a lady one time that had, we took off of her property 38 cats. That it started off with 2. 2 little kittens showed up at her house. And the next thing you know, she had 38 cats that she had. There was no way she could afford to pay for that. So we go there and trap them, have them, get them fixed, and then bring them back there. I have no place else to bring them. Or the people that says, hey, I got a mama cat that showed up here with kittens. Please come get her. What you want me to do with her? I got 7 personal cats and 2 dogs. My husband's told me a long time ago, you bring another one in here and you and the 7 cats and the 2 dogs are going to need a place to live. So, you know, we need to do something for this parish, and it's long, long overdue. So I do hope that this is voted, or that we do get money to be able to build this shelter that we so desperately need. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Seacard. I'm from Denham Springs, right outside of Walker, going toward Port Vincent. So in that wooded area where, you know, things go to be dropped. I fostered with different rescues, including Vicky and Swampy Paws Rescue. And now, as my schedule allows, I'm a transporter. I transport animals from different groups in various places to get them to a safe place. I think my message for tonight is that our problem has become other communities' problems. I've picked up animals, no place to go. I have brought 4 German Shepherds to Tallahassee, Florida, to find safe homes and places. That far, by myself, 4 German Shepherds and a Honda Pilot. I've picked up small dogs and found other communities willing to find foster homes, going to Texas, and I could have rescued from Tennessee all the way across the south to Florida. Texas to Florida. I have connections with shelters from there, and rescue communities all the way up to into Canada. And I've had to reach out to those places to help our problem. And they have their own issues. They have their own homeless pet populations, and they're helping Livingston Parish. I've heard people say, well, Livingston Parish has nowhere to go. We're outside of the Walker city limits. We're outside of Denham Springs city limits. But I have an aunt that lives in East Baton Rouge that I could squeeze in and get into CAA. It's not right. It's not right for their taxpayers that are paying for our animals. And it's not right for our community, our reputation, our responsibility. It's our home, it's our responsibility, and we should take care of our issues, our problems, and our people, and our pets, our beings. So yeah, I really hope that there is a solution. We strive. It's been a long time coming since my daughter and I picked up this black mutt off the side of Walker South Road. And that began my journey, and we're still talking about it today, and that's been over 12 years ago. So I appreciate everyone coming tonight.
Anybody else? Sure. This grant is infrastructure, and it's to do additions and renovations. So we're not building a new shelter. The shelter's there, and we're just adding to it and renovating what's already there. Ms. Maurice, you want to touch on that? The schematic design that's been developed?
I'm Maurice Durbin from Denham Springs, and we have done a lot of work since we started talking about building an animal shelter this new administration. And we've looked at other shelters to see the cost and see how they handled everything and what would be good for us that they were using. And we have come up with ideas that we think would work very well in Livingston Parish. And we say additions, but what we really mean is we're going to have additional kennels. Right now, what we have will certainly not hold all the animals, all the dogs in Livingston Parish if we open this up parish-wide. So we will have to build new kennels, and the previous shelter was built 20 years ago. There's a lot of things that have been changed since then to make animal shelters better. And so we'll be using those changes to try to help in Livingston Parish. I can't really tell you exactly what it's going to be because we don't know what kind of money we're going to have yet. I will tell you this, that when we went to these shelters in South Louisiana, we were surprised and shocked to see how much it actually cost to build these shelters. We went to Lafayette. Theirs 5 years ago, theirs cost over $8 million. We went to St. Tammany. Theirs was $7 million. And then we went to Baton Rouge. They have a $6 million shelter. 12 in Baton Rouge now? Okay, 12 now. And even in Ascension Parish, which is right close to us, they have set aside $5 million for the construction. And they haven't even bought property yet because they haven't been able to find a piece of property where they could put this. So we have looked everywhere. And we know that the people in Livingston Parish don't want to spend that kind of money on an animal shelter. And we appreciate that because we have so many other needs in Livingston Parish. But the shelter is extremely important for us to have here. And so being fiscal conservatives about how we spend our money, we've learned to do that through all the shelters. We have to be very careful with every penny that we spend because we know it's hard to get money in for us. We think that we can build a shelter for much less than that, a good shelter. Of course, it means that we'll be hiring additional people because the shelter that we have now has only the one director and 5 workers, and they're on call all the time. That means 4 workers. And they're on call 24/7. The sheriff's office calls them in the middle of the night, and they have to go out if there's somebody's been picked up and they have animals in their home and they're going to be going to jail, if somebody is abusing an animal, if a dog has been hit, all those things, and they get called out and they have to go and take care of them. But I think the most distressing thing to Desiree and her group will be all the people that call and ask for help, and they can't help them. Because right now they are very limited in what they can do. It's only through the sheriff's office and the calls that come in through the sheriff that they are allowed to go and pick up animals. So all these other people in the parish that are calling in don't understand why they can't get help as well. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it so that our parish shelter will function for everyone in this parish. Yes, sir.
the shelter meet that, those?
So, yes, sir. So yes. The national objective that is, that has to be met with this funding is that it serves low to moderate income people. The parish as a whole is not low to moderate income, but we have pockets of LMI, and the town of Livingston is considered LMI. There's portions of the town of Livingston that's LMI, and the shelter fits in that portion. Yes, sir. So right now we have a budget of about 2.5 million. There's an architect that's been asked to do a schematic design, and he's estimating about 2.5 million. Now that's just for construction. There's other fees involved too, like architectural design. There could be some environmental planning costs, things like that. But the actual construction, we're looking at about 2.5. And equipment. Yes, ma'am. We will have an application, and we will have a budget. So we will know how much is going to go toward the animal shelter additions and renovations. We don't know just yet. We're still developing the proposal. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Ms. Maurice. Ms. Maurice, could you come to the mic, please? They can't hear you in the, yes. So
Okay.
any questions, please come to the podium so everybody can hear at home.
Okay. Where was I?
The cats.
Spay and neuter. Okay. We're trying to develop, one of the first things that we want to do before we can even construct the building is to develop a community cat program for all of Livingston Parish. And that cat program will be your basic TNR. And we would like to, that's trap, neuter, release. And the reason we want to do that is because we have so many feral colonies, things like that. And if we can go out and trap these colonies, bring them in, and bring them wherever we can bring them and spay, neuter them, and then release them again. Now, Pet Aid was part of the spay, neuter group last weekend, and we did do almost 400 cats and dogs last weekend. We're planning on having another one in March, and that one, where's my person? That one will be, we hope, in Eastover. There you go, yes. I'm the person that wants to use your church. Yes, yes. So we're trying everything that we can, but we can't just, rescues can't just do it by ourselves. And we depend a lot on our fosters to, if we get small kittens, we could have to have fosters to come in and keep them until they're 8 weeks old, because we spay and neuter at 8 weeks. Or if we get puppies, it is very difficult to find fosters for puppies, unfortunately. But it is, and we transport whenever we can find a group going out. So all the rescues are working full-time to try to do anything that they can to help out in Livingston Parish. So, thank you for your help, too.
stay with me
All right,
for support. Hold my
I'm here.
hand. So I'm Desiree Green. I'm the director for the Livingston Parish Animal Shelter. I've been there for 12 years. It is discouraging. Well, let me say this first of all. We cannot facilitate cats. When I started working there, we had 28 kennels, period, 28. My budget has not grown at all from 12 years ago. I still have this much of a budget. And in order to maintain that, we have a very limited criteria that we can pick up. Now, I want to tell everybody that's here now, if you have an aggressive dog situation, that is definitely something that we handle, always have, always will. That is first and foremost. But Ms. Maurice is correct. You do have to call the sheriff's department to make the complaint. Then they dispatch us. Like I said, we do not have a place at the shelter right now to facilitate cats, kittens. We do have 2 office cats because, you know, we do like cats, but we have no place to house. We have done an addition, I think that was in 13 or 15. 13, okay. So we did an addition to the 28. We added another 21 kennels at the shelter with a grant that Heather was able to acquire then. We have purchased a lot of cage banks where we can actually segregate our puppies and our small dogs to themselves instead of being, you know, near the big dogs in the big kennels. I have to tell y'all, it's disheartening to us. Now, here's my other employees. 1, 2, 3, and I have one that is sick. They are on call 24/7. They rotate a week at a time. The one on the end was actually on the interstate trying to catch a dog running in the interstate. She's been doing it all day long, back and forth. Every time it's sighted, she runs back to the interstate. We do everything we can with what we have. We don't have enough. We don't have enough room. You would think that 50 kennels is enough. It's not. And I applaud the rescues and I thank the rescues for doing what they're doing, but they need to be in a position where they can do what they're supposed to do. They come to the shelter and actually rescue dogs from the shelter to help make space. That's what they're supposed to do. They shouldn't have to take on dogs from the street. If the shelter had the money or the employees or the kennel space to put strays, we would pick up, but we don't. We probably turn down, I'm going to estimate 20 to 30 calls a day where we just have to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't help. It hurts us to tell people we can't help. There's so much I could just go on and on and on, but we need this money. We need animal control. We have animal control, but it is limited. We're not non-existent. We are there, but we're so limited. So we handle cruelty cases, aggressive dogs, and she mentioned we do have to pick up everybody that gets arrested for some reason has their dog with them when they get arrested. We don't understand that. We've even had people that have gone shoplifting at Juban and brought their dog with them. So we have to go pick them up before they can go to jail. We unfortunately have to do a lot of cases where people have passed
while they have their dogs in their home. We have to go in and get the dog before EMS or fire department, police department. So there's a lot that we do, but there's a lot more that we want to do, but we can't do. So if any of you people here have ever called us and asked us to help you, and we've had to say, I apologize. We don't want to say no. We need this money. The parish needs this so we can stop saying.
I need to ask you one more. I need to go over one more thing, and this is going to be quick. I didn't know this was about the kennels, but I'm an ally because I love animals. But the problem I have with it is you have a shelter in Denham Springs already, and you have one in Walker. How much of that funding, how much of that comes from the parish, the money that operates those? Zero? It all comes from taxpayers in the cities.
You pay for it.
Okay, that's my question. Okay, so why don't we combine them all and make one for the whole parish? Why don't we do that? Why can't we do that? From the parish. Yeah, but that's from a different kind of grant. But the parish within the tax base within itself to create its own, and nobody will pay for them? Okay. All right. Well, I'm big on animals, but I'm more big on humans. I want to make sure the humans got a place to stay too. You know, but that's true. All right, that's just making sure.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
I'm going to kind of side with that gentleman over there. I commend what y'all do at the animal shelter. I really do. I've adopted 2. I have 4. I have 3 cats. My wife has told me if another animal comes in that house, she's leaving. So I'm doing my part for the animal kingdom. I sympathize. I emphasize. But this is the old Livingston Parish that we're dealing with. Livingston has grown, and we haven't grown with it. They want to build more. They want to do more. We can't even maintain our own infrastructure. And that is the majority of the issue here. We need a publicly funded animal shelter. I agree with that 100%. This grant money is only going to be a temporary measure. How long before that runs out and y'all are back here begging for more? What I'm talking about is elevating our citizens, constituents of this parish, voters, above that. Let's take care of our families before we take care of stray animals. That's my point in this. And, you know, I wish we could do more for an animal shelter. I really do. But I do think the parish needs to tackle that responsibility. That is their responsibility. They want to grow. They want to mature. They need to maintain what they have before we can do that. And that's where we're at in Livingston Parish. How much more are we going to build before we maintain what we have? You know, we have multiple neighborhoods, South Point included, where I see stray dogs get posted on our Facebook page every day. Whose dog is this? You know, and it's unreal what y'all go through just to feed and care for these animals. I understand that. But we got to put people ahead of the animals. We got to elevate that. Y'all need $2.5 million just to build a shelter. How much more are you looking at and operating cost out of 4.5? I know 4 families right now that it's going to take $1 million just to relocate them. So how far are we going to stretch these funds, and what priority are we going to put on them?
Yes, ma'am.
I agree with you that we need to do more in Livingston Parish for people as well. But there are lots of grants out there for people and for the various things that you're mentioning. This is not an infrastructure per se grant. So there are lots of infrastructure grants just like there are a lot of grants for the elderly and for children and for library and for all these things. They're different grants. We don't, and animals and people are not mutually exclusive. We want to do all these things to take care of people as well. You know, and most of us do. This is part of who we are. But we do lots of other things as well, as far as taking care of people in the community. We're all out there volunteering all the time. And like I said, not just for animals, but for the schools, for the elderly. We're out there working constantly with the community, because once you get out there and work with the dogs, you see how important it is to help the elderly and the people who don't have enough money to feed their animals. They also have to eat. So you do what you can to help them and put them in touch with, you know, Council on Aging and all these other things where they can get the food and the supplies that they need as well. So I just wanted to say it's not a mutually exclusive thing. And I do understand where you're coming from. And there's a lot more that needs to be done for the people in Livingston Parish. Won't you come up here?
My name is Glenda Foster. I live in Baton Rouge. I don't live out here, okay? But I will tell you, my heart has been here for many years. There are people out here in official capacities and unofficial 501c3 capacities that have given their heart and soul to this parish. Not just the animals, as she was saying, but also humans. There is, in fact, the National Sheriff's Association and the FBI, in other words, they did a study and they finally did a paper that said, hey, there is a direct correlation between animal abuse, neglect, abandonment, and human abuse, neglect, and abandonment. Okay? Drive all over this parish and observe. Okay? How many hungry kids do you see? How many of the animals in the yard are skin and bones and on chains? Okay? You have to start, and there are programs and there are avenues, especially, you know, when you have the mandated reporters from schools, okay, that have to report the human abuse and neglect. The animal abuse and neglect and abandonment in this parish has been going on for years. I mean, there are people in here that can tell you story after story after story that would either make you go home and throw up or cry, okay? I will tell you this, that those of us looking out and looking into Livingston Parish with the new parish president leadership and the willingness to address something that should have been addressed a long time ago. You're covering 12 square miles of a parish that's got 600 and how much? 672 square miles, okay? This is 2024. It's not 1954, it's not 1964. Yeah, most of the people in here probably take care of their animals properly. There are a lot of people in this parish that don't, and with a limited staff of 3 or 4 in the existing animal control, because there are federal and state laws regarding animal cruelty, and yeah, I mean, they've got to have proper protection, proper food, proper water, proper vet care. This deal of, oh, that dog's got fur, God gave that dog fur, he could stay outside in that 28 degrees. Well, let that guy that's saying that go, and I'm not talking about somebody that's sitting home with a beer on a chair. I'm talking about people that have six-figure incomes and a 1954 mentality. Hey, when the kids and I'm not going to pick on adults, but there's a lot that people can learn from children, okay? When their little tender hearts can tell you, hey, this is wrong, we need to listen to them. Yeah, because they see and don't become desensitized to what we do. We will always have budgetary issues in all realms of everything, infrastructure, drainage, utilities, okay? And even this shelter being built is not the cure-all, but it is the avenue for y'all to have a change and a permanent change starting. Because what I have feared, God forbid, for a long time is that because, as it exists, they have no animal control officers that can just go out in the parish and tell somebody, hey, you can't do this with your animal. You can't, they just don't have the capacity at this point. You can't have this aggressive animal and not do something about it. My fear has been that there would be a child attacked, okay, and God forbid die, and then you know what Livingston Parish is then? They're on national news on every channel and every network in the nation. Hey, by God's grace, people have not been hurt, maimed, and killed with some of these situations. And I know I'm kind of rambling right now, but y'all have finally got an opportunity, because I can tell you, if I bought a Powerball and won, there would be 64 parishes with fantastic animal shelters, and the parish presidents probably would not like me, because my next visit to that would be to them to get the taxes passed to fund the operation. But, we've been at the bottom of the bucket in this state on so many things for so long. And this is not a tiny parish. I'm a realtor, okay? This parish has got some fantastic people in it, but y'all have got to get behind this thing and say, what can I do? If you volunteered 5 hours a month with something out here, in other words, do something. If everybody does a little bit, it changes it. Yeah, and and like Devonna said, spay and neuter. I've been involved with spay and neuter for years. We don't have it right now in Baton Rouge like we had it, but been involved with spaying and neutering over 8,000 cats. Yeah, and when you look at spay and neuter, that you're shrinking that population of puppies that are running out in the road, and somebody swerving and causing a wreck to keep from running over the puppy because a person has not. Because what this shelter does is it starts the funding to take the people have not been responsible. It's not the animals are not the problem. The problem is people. And for years, never wanted to vote taxes to do this. Now there's an avenue, and there's a place to start. But anyway, the neglect, abandonment, and abuse. It's just it's got to stop, because this is. Y'all are just better than all that. And I'm sure everybody in here, most of y'all haven't heard and seen some of the stuff some of the rest of us heard and seen, fortunately.
There's one thing I can assure you, your parish president, is this is not the first grant that we're going after, right? This is a conversation that happens daily almost, if not daily. I mean, we've been to the Capitol numerous times. I don't even know how many times, probably not that many, maybe 10 times since we've taken office already. So he's actually traveling right now, working on hopefully bringing more federal money to help Livingston Parish. He's sitting on the ARBC right now, Amy River Basin Committee, working for you, trying to bring more funds here to Livingston Parish. So I think this is just a preview of what's to come in his first term. So rest assured, I promise you that he is getting after it every day to do what he can as fast as he can. And I think this, and hopefully y'all think this is good fruit of what is to come. And I know that as far as this is concerned, public comment is not closed on this. There's a deadline that you can continue to submit public comment. What is that?
Right, you can submit public comments about this grant until January 30th at 5 p.m. I think that's next Tuesday. And you can email me, call me, and I will listen. I will take the notes, and I will send that all to the state. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
so if you have not signed in, it does help us out if you sign in and put your information on that sheet. Ms. Heather's card's there as well. It's got her office number as well as email. So, all right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming.
Thank everybody for
Appreciate it.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.